Well, we've made it to the top 5. I'm Jeff Cameron, Warchant.com. Warchant TV is what you're watching right now. That's Tom Lang and Matt Lasser. It's time to talk about a guy I think we're pretty excited to talk about, and that is redshirt senior. And this guy's played a ton of football. Darius Washington coming in at number 5. All-ACC player, a chance for All-American honors. So says the head coach, Mike Norvell. Lord knows the experience is there. The talent is there. This is a guy who has, fellas, 10 starts last year, appeared in every game, 7 starts the year before that, and 12 starts the year before that where he started every game. So this is a guy who's been versatile, center, tackle, guard, played all 5 positions on the offensive line for this team. I'm going to start with you, Tom Lang, because you had him at number 2 for your top 40, the highest ranking by far for Darius Washington. No getting around the fact that the offensive line is of vital importance. And the fact is the offensive line was not great last year. Darius was kind of the exception. Why do you have him at number 2, Tom?
It's for those reasons. And one of the, in this ranking system, it's about potential impact on the team. And I define that by if a guy is missing in a given week, how much will you miss his impact? And Darius as a left tackle, obviously, I think Florida State has some options at tackle, but I don't know they have many better options than Darius Washington at either 2 slots. I think there's a pretty big drop-off after Darius. And for me, in the spring, the way I saw him play in the practices that I went to and in the spring showcase, he had a little extra nasty and snarl to him. And I was wondering, is that different? Am I seeing something here? Did I just catch him on a couple of good days, or is this something that's developing? Is this something that's evolving for Darius Washington? And then when Coach Norvell says in the offseason that he has the potential to be an All-American left tackle, I was understanding that at that point that I wasn't seeing things. The coaching staff is there's another step being taken for Darius. And so if you're talking about a potential All-American left tackle or the best tackle on the team, impact on the team, you would miss him greatly. That's why I have him as high as I do. Greatly
respected, if I could speak, player on this team because of that experience, because he's been versatile, because he's kind of a homegrown guy. One of the things that I get excited about when we talk about a Darius Washington or any of the players that fit this ilk is one that bought in, came into the program, suffered through some of the tough times and the transformation. Matt Lasser, you had him at number 5, I do believe, and I had him at number 9, and I'm looking back on that ranking and thinking to myself, why did I have him as low as I did? And I think it's because I wasn't certain that he was going to be the left tackle for certain. It was after that that we've heard Mike say this on more than one occasion. Talk about why you had him in the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is versatility, right? He's always able to play any position on the line. If ever anyone gets hurt, he's in there. I remember the story from Atkins last season when he was telling the press conference that he ran into Darius in the hallway and was like, "Do you want to know where you're playing this week?" And he was like, "No, I don't care. I'll just let me know on the field when we're ready to go." I mean, that's a huge thing because you can just plug and play him wherever you need. I also think the leadership aspect, as you said, well respected, is starting to get there and be a lot better. Just from the newcomer interviews that we just finished up before recording this, the 2 linemen, TT and Daniels, would not stop talking about how Darius is a motivational guy for them, how he stays on them to learn the playbook on the practice field. It seems like he's really embraced that role and has become really the main leader in the offensive line room, which makes sense. And I'm excited to talk to him in Charlotte in a few days or a week or so.
That's the next part that I was going to bring up, fellas. He was chosen to go as part of that group that will be in Charlotte. I'll be there, Matt. You'll be there. We'll be given the opportunity to talk with Darius, and he's a thoughtful guy, smart guy. He's an interesting person to hear talk about the game of football. He was an All-ACC performer. As I mentioned before, he's earned All-American acclaim from other outlets. We've seen a lot of people have high expectations for him, and he has high expectations for himself. I would ask you, Tom, very quickly that it's interesting the way you look at this in terms of value. If he doesn't play, how much will the team miss him? It's a good point that you make there because I think he's the one offensive lineman, and that includes Maurice, that they can't afford to lose because if you lose Darius, you just don't have that backup with the experience at any of the other positions.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, Maurice, by the end of the season last year, you might have been able to slot him top 5, and because of Florida State not having another option at center other than maybe Darius, but you needed Darius to play elsewhere. It's just Florida State's been counting on these same 2 players for an awful long time, but Darius had been playing a Swiss Army knife role until this point. And again, that's the thing that I find most interesting in the offseason. Mike Norvell talking about the offensive line says this has a chance to be the best offensive line I've had while I'm a head coach here, and Darius is going to be our left tackle. Like, he knighted him. This is an open competition in fall camp. We'll see how it shakes out. We believe Darius is going to be a tackle. We're not sure what side he's going to play on. No, he's saying All-American left tackle. And Mike Norvell chooses his words very carefully. So to me, again, part of that ranking is the coach, who is very careful not to heap too much praise or too much hype on a player, says this is going to be our guy. I'm going to trust him. And I'm very excited to hear what you guys think next week in Charlotte when you talk to him. Does he have a little bit of an extra presence about him? Because I've found him to be fairly soft-spoken. Does he have a little bit more command as he takes to the dais in Charlotte? Because that's the way he's played. He's played with more command. And frankly, this offensive line could use a little bit of extra sandpaper, and I think that's what he's going to bring.
At the end of the day, Matt, the offensive line last year, in my opinion, was a disappointment compared to what the expectations were. For Mike Norvell now to come out and say that he thinks it has a chance to be the best offensive line he's had since he's been here. Would you, A, agree with that assessment from what you saw in the spring? And do you think that that is the key to this entire season, this offensive line, in particular, players like Darius Washington leading the way?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think Darius Washington and the additions of Ferguson and Richie Leonard are really important there. On the right tackle side, it's up for grabs, right? You don't really know. I think all of us here think there's a good chance Otto could take that spot by the end of the season. And then it's Rob. You never know with Rob Scott. He's always injured. That's probably your one hole there, is that other side tackle. But other than that, it looks a lot better. And I think this team has to be a run-first team for them to be really good. We already had some worries about receivers early on in the season in the spring. Those have kind of gone away a little bit. But we know that this team needs to be a running team. You got 3 running backs there, and obviously for that to work, you need the offensive line to be there. So if this is the best offensive line in Norvell's career so far, it's going to be really good. And I think we'll see this team in Charlotte later on in the year.
It's interesting. It's a team that we know has to be better at running the ball, has to have a more consistent performance on the offensive line. And yet when we look in that top 10, top 15 that we've done here at Warchant.com and Warchant TV, you realize that most of us realize that the strength of the team is the defense. And so it's fascinating that, it's cool to see an offensive lineman, in particular, a guy like Darius, who's so versatile, break into this top 5 and be such a key element to what Florida State's trying to do. Because if they can run the ball and play great defense, we know that travels guys, and they've got some tough road games this year. Congratulations to Darius Washington finishing in our top 5. We'll have the rest of that group for you individually as we go through all this. Don't forget to subscribe to Warchant.com. Special deals right now. I believe it's $1 for another 2 months. And that's what are you doing? What are you waiting on? I should yell, "It's a buck," everybody. I should do what I used to do, yell, "It's a buck." That's Matt Lacerda. It's Tom Lang. I'm Jeff Cameron. Thanks so much for watching. More on Warchant TV as the days go by and we get you set for football.